college football, Noah, here we go. We got into this a little bit yesterday. I think it's an important conversation here halfway through the college football season. Because what I don't want to do is get to the end of the year and there are Big Ten teams and there's teams that are one-loss teams and everyone's saying, well, they should be in over this SEC team or this 2 or 3 loss team from this conference. And because we're going to get there. We did it last year with Indiana. We did it and again, I'm not sitting here saying it's one or the other, but it's when it gets to that conversation, it needs to be fully understood of what the path is. Okay, got me on that?
Yep.
Because here's the thing: right now there are the top 11 teams in college football in the AP poll feature 3 teams from the Big Ten: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Number 1, number 3, and number 1, 3, and 8.
Yep.
Miami from the ACC.
Number 2.
And Texas Tech from the Big 12. Those are the 5 of the 11. And then the other 6 teams are from the SEC. A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee make up the other more than half of the 11 teams. So you got 3 Big 10, 1 ACC, 1 Big 12, and then all SEC teams, okay? And for the sake of this conversation, they're not in the top 11, but I'm going to throw Texas in this conversation that we're about to have, considering they were preseason number 1, just whipped number 6, and are trying to work their way back up into that conversation, okay? As a 2-loss team, but only a 1-loss team in the SEC. And here's the long and short of it, where we stand in college football right now. And it's why Greg Sankey was pretty vociferous through his defense of his conference and his stance last July at SEC Media Days when he talked about, we don't want to go to we don't have to go to 9 games. Our 8 games are already tougher than your 9. Now they've gone to it to make everybody happy. They've gone to 9 games starting next year. This year they'll just play 8, but it still shouldn't be held against the SEC. But here's why I say this, and this is why you can say it's my opinion or we're an SEC country, so you're going to lobby for the SEC. Here it is. It's a very, very safe bet to go ahead and put 5 of those current 11 teams in the playoff and write it in Sharpie. Don't write it in pencil. Write it in Sharpie. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Texas Tech are in. You could also go ahead and say whoever the group of 6 representative is, Memphis or South Florida, one of those teams. But all 6 of these teams combined have one thing in common. They don't play anybody the rest of the way. You realize those 6 teams, whoever Memphis or South Florida, the 5 I mentioned, Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Texas Tech, combined will play 2 teams the rest of the season currently ranked in the top 20. 2. All 6 of those will play 2. And Oregon will host 20th ranked USC. And will they be ranked by then? I don't know. They play Notre Dame on Saturday. Texas Tech will host 15th ranked BYU. Ohio State, Indiana, Miami do not face another team currently ranked in the top 20. And we would argue that halfway through the season, you kind of know who's among the top 20 teams based on performance through 6 or 7 games. But Ohio State, and again, they didn't make the schedule. I'm not arguing that. But factually, Ohio State, Indiana, and Miami don't play another ranked team. And only Texas Tech and Oregon play one, and they're both back-end top 20 teams. So, again, not an opinion, fact. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, Texas Tech, and then whoever the group of 6 representative don't play anybody of consequence the rest of the way. So put them in. But here's the difference. Those 6 SEC teams we're talking about that are in the top 11, and if you throw Texas into the conversation, they will have 21 head-to-head matchups against top 20 teams the rest of the way. 21-2. 21-2. 4th-ranked A&M, who's off to a great start, they have 3 still on the road. Ole Miss has 2. Alabama just went 3-0 against top 15 teams in 3 weeks. They still have 3 to go. Head-to-head matchups with top 15 teams. Georgia has 3. LSU has 4. Tennessee has 3. Texas has 3 more. And they're, of course, trying to climb back into the conversation. One other team, Notre Dame. Let's also add to this, by the way, before we talk about Notre Dame, in the non-conference when they weren't playing one another, SEC had the best record overall. They went 10-4 head-to-head with the other 3 power conferences. 10-4, 71% wins. Big Ten were 500 at 8-6. Big 12, I should say, 8-6, 57%. Big Ten was 5-6, under 500. So when they weren't playing within their own conference, the SEC was the most dominant. But now they're going to have the toughest road to get there. And this is just factual. And they're going to beat each other up. And so the point of this conversation is when we get to the end in Indiana and Texas Tech and Ohio State and all these teams are 0 and 1 loss teams before their championship games, Let's put it in perspective of what the roadmap is and the path to the playoff is. But I think you can put those 6 in right now, write it in Sharpie. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, those 6 I definitely agree with. I mean, I do agree also that with the SEC, it's the deepest conference. I mean, that's pretty fair to say with the rankings they are right now. Now, half their schedule, it's good that you mentioned that specifically, like what their record is outside of the SEC early on.
71%. They were 10-4.
What, 6 games, 7 games?
But now you don't play anybody outside your conference
right,
except the
correct.
Except for one more year, like A&M will
Yeah.
play Samford for their week 12 game.
Right.
But this is what Greg Sankey was arguing. Yeah, we need that 12th gimme because our schedule is so daunting, and people, especially in the Big Ten, especially in Brett Yormark in the Big 12. I'm not even talking about media and opinions. I'm talking about the leaders of the other conferences were taking jabs.
Sure.
Well, you don't play anybody. I mean, the teams that are in the top 11 from the SEC have already played tougher schedules than everybody but Miami, arguably, and they're right there in the top 11. And then from the rest of the way, those top teams don't play anyone. And again, it's not their fault. It's just a fact. And as for Notre Dame, I think they're going to beat USC this weekend. I think that's going to be one of my picks. We'll see. You realize USC, who goes into South Bend, C.J. Carr, the young quarterback who you know well, he went to your high school, did he not?
Yes.
C.J. Carr ranks 7th nationally in pass efficiency. USC enters that with the 100th ranked defense in pass efficiency defense. So I think that could be a shred job for USC. I know they're more physical this year than they've been, but they're going to get off against that USC defense. But either way, so Notre Dame's got to be into this conversation too. And their path from here is very easy.
Because it started off pretty difficult. Give them credit.
It did.
Where credit's due.
I'm giving them credit. You didn't let me get there. Yes, they lost to Miami and Notre Dame and A&M in one very close football games. Field goal at the buzzer, 1-point loss with a missed extra point to the Aggies. So they're a 2-loss team, but they're getting better. And Marcus Freeman's a really good coach. And by the way, there's a report that Penn State wants to take a big swing at Marcus Freeman. I don't think he'll leave that job for Penn State, but they're swinging big. The point is that Penn State now having fired James Franklin on Sunday. But point of it, again, it's just let's all be clear. If there's a 3-loss SEC team, we had this last year where South Carolina couldn't make an argument, where Alabama couldn't make an argument because they lost games. They're playing different sports right now. Their paths to that playoff, there's only one playoff, there's only 12 spots, but one conference has a much different path and a much more difficult road to get there than the best teams, the power teams in the other 3 because they're so top-heavy. There's only 2 really great teams in the Big Ten. There's one great team in the Big 12. There's one great team in the ACC. And I'm not saying those aren't really talented teams. And Texas Tech has invested their money properly. They're really deep. They're really talented. Heck, they haven't had anybody play within 17 of them. And they probably won't the rest of the year. And that's going to earn them their right to the playoff. I'm just saying when we get to December and we're having debates about, and late November, who should be in over who, let's not look at win-loss record. Let's look who you've beaten, who you've played, your gauntlet of games, who are the best teams by earning it, by getting there, not just by total number of wins or versus number of losses.
I do think last year was a rare example because those 3 teams that didn't get in that all had an argument to get in, referring to Ole Miss, South Carolina, and who I forget Alabama, thank you. They all cannibalized themselves, right? They all had losses that really they couldn't justify. And we did see Tennessee, who had 3 losses. The only team to have 3 losses to make it was from the SEC.
Well, SEC would be the one. They had 3 ranked losses. Like they lost to LSU. They lost to at Alabama. They lost to teams who
they lost to Arkansas. That was the one loss they had.
Okay, but that's the point. When you go through this gauntlet, again, let's say that again if you're just tuning in at 7:21. The 6 teams we're talking about will play a combined total of 2 teams currently ranked in the top 20. Well, but currently is important. That's an important word here. We've got 7 weeks of football under our belt. We kind of know who the best 20 teams are. They've worked themselves out. The rankings are speculative in the preseason. 2 months, 2.5 months or month and a half of football, we've got a good sample size of who's good and who's not. And who's not good. And those 5 or 6 teams I'm mentioning that are ranked in the top 11, we can tell you the teams they're playing coming aren't good. Because they're not good enough to crack the top 27 weeks into the season. So they're average to below average teams the rest of the way. Whereas if you're in the SEC, you're playing teams that have already established they're really good. They're really good teams. And that is, I don't know how they fix that. It's probably going to be that way until the Big Ten gets teams like Michigan and Wisconsin and USC and Washington and some of these teams that are supposed to be good to being good again, because they're not. And that's, again, I'm not saying that as opinion-wise from the SEC country. I'm saying ranked teams through 7 weeks of football, they only have those. whereas the SEC has 6 of the top 11, and that's credit to those programs. They invest in it. They've got good coaches. They've got good players. Heck, the NFL drafts more SEC players than any conference. So it's a tougher gauntlet. I'm just putting it out, not putting it out. We're just saying it so when we get to November, we can still have a rational conversation without Big Ten on Big 12 and other honks talking about, well, we should get 2 and we should get this. No. Leave Georgia Tech out of this conversation until they beat somebody. That's good. Again, I love Haynes King. But, man, let's be real about who's playing a real schedule and who's not. Who's playing – because whoever comes out of this gauntlet, the 3 or 4 from the SEC that have earned it, boy, they're going to earn it. They're going to earn it. And with Penn State's crumbling and firing their coach, and look, now that game with Ohio State that they have coming up, man, that's going to be an easy win for them. Indiana still has to go to Penn State here coming up. But now they're going to have a new coach, a new quarterback. It's a whole different team than we anticipated. So now the Big Ten really just has the 3. And they're going to earn. I'm not saying they shouldn't get in. I'm talking about when we start arguing about the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 2nd from the ACC and the 2nd from the Big 12. And no, you need to reward the SEC for being deeper, tougher, more talented.
Yeah, I do.
Even if it's 3 or 4 losses.
I think this is the year that we see for the first time, because it's only the second year of it, the SEC getting 4 teams minimally. I mean,
maybe 5.
They could get 5, right? Just depending on how it all shakes up. But yeah, I think the Big Ten now, we've seen the green rise to the top. We didn't know exactly what it was last year. Penn State won the games they were supposed to. Now they haven't done that this year, so they're out of the mix. I mean, we're seeing 3 teams, possibly 4. We'll see what happens with UFC. If they lose to Notre Dame, then that's already their second loss in the year. So,
can I add to this? This is why, as much as I appreciate the job Kurt Cignetti's doing at Indiana, that's why him canceling tough non-conference games is bogus.
No, it is.
He's canceling tough non-conference games so that he can just play in the Big Ten and then mop up on directional schools in September.
Well, his excuse was, this is the SEC does that with 8 conference games. Well, the SEC changed, so he's going to have to change his tune. Even this year, when it's 8, it's still different. It's still a different game for Kurt Cignetti. They didn't play anybody in the non-con. They're going to have one big win, which was on the road at Oregon, and it's a huge win. But that's going to be their only really quality win until they go to the Big Ten championship.
Right, until they play. And it'll be decided by then, essentially. Because whatever happens in the Big Ten championship, if it is indeed Indiana and Ohio State, they'll already be in the playoff.
Right.
And which is why I hate the championship games. It shouldn't even exist if you're going to have a playoff. I always said if it's like the NFL you'd play your full 17-game season, then you got to play this division championship game for the division champion. No, the division champion has been decided, and the tournament starts. We don't need this money grab division conference title game anymore.
Meaningless.
Totally.
It's a banner you can hang up,
but let's just remember the numbers as we finish this off. It's a lot of info. 6 teams will play combined 2 ranked teams the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Proven ranked through half the season. The other 6 or 7, if you include Texas, will play 21. 21-2. Different seasons, different games. It's like one team is playing, those 3 conferences are playing in a different animal, and they all play for the same tournament. And that makes it, that's why records don't, power rankings, ratings, whoever comes out of the SEC, I don't have a problem with you want to say there should be 4 or 5. If there are teams that are up there that are all cannibalizing each other and they're 3 lost teams, put them in. Let them go play for the playoffs. Put it on the field come December and January.